My seat's too high. Oh, welcome back to my channel. Judgment in itself carries generally quite a lot of negative associations when the word is said out loud. Actually, on that point, I'd be really interested to hear what you think when you hear the word judgment. What comes to mind for you? It's a lot like a number of other terms that I won't get into, otherwise I'll get sidetracked and this video would just go on and on and on, and no one needs that in their life. Judgment is not a bad thing. Everything has its place, and like with most things in life, it's always about balance. I've been reflecting on it from the perspective of what we then do with the judgments we make. So whilst we as humans have evolved, you know, there's still more that can be and needs to be done. One of the things, integration of our more primal mind, fight or flight or freeze response, and then we have our logical mind. Now, although we speak about them as one brain, they're not as integrated as ideally they would be. So judgments keep us safe. Judgments are unavoidable. We are human. It is built into us that we judge things because it allows us to react quickly when we really need to, if we are going to compromise our safety. So the judgments themselves, they're not the problem. We often will respond very quickly without thinking to the judgment. I have trichotillomania. For a very long time tried to hide it, and so I was absolutely mortified when someone very innocently said to me, "Have you got any eyelashes?" I can still feel that horrific emotional response. That was definitely like a freeze and I want to fly out of here moment. At risk of repeating myself many times, judgments aren't the problem, it's the way we respond to them. Not easy, and it takes practice. I can think of other examples outside of trichotillomania, like people and their choice around whether or not they're having children. People don't even question the fact that it might not be a great topic, and people may not be interested to hear,
"What, you're not going to have children? Like, but you would be so great."
There are so many reasons that we are not entitled to know that has gone into the decision making of that individual. There may not be that many factors, and that's okay too. When we work well together and appreciate that difference, some phenomenal changes in the world and society
happen. Finish your sentence, Sian.
So it's not about getting everyone on the same page, but it's also really important that we each individually take responsibility to give ourselves some time to check in on what we are looking to achieve by what we feel we want to say in that given moment. Can make people feel inadequate, ashamed, embarrassed. People aren't coming necessarily for an answer to things. They're coming for a safe space to just be able to download. Judgments and advice aren't always what's needed. Just someone to listen that you know isn't going to respond to you in a judgmental way, even when it comes from a really loving place. Just some acceptance. We've each got our own stories. When I take the example of talking about someone's choice, whether that's a voluntary choice or otherwise, to have or not to have children, I find that a lot of people can become quite offended if you say, "Well, no, I just don't want children." Why? Someone's choices generally aren't to offend you. And that's more of a question then for the individual themselves. It's for them to think, why am I pushing this point? What does it matter to me if this other person doesn't have children, doesn't want to have children? Is it that I'm feeling conscious about having children without feeling or being in a position to make a choice about that? It could be that it is just something you really can't understand. That isn't a problem. It's how we respond, and it's how we have the conversation. If someone was to say, "I've made the assumption that you would, do you feel comfortable to talk about it?" If that person says, "Actually, no, I don't," knowing that it isn't personal and that they're choosing not to, and that is okay. Whereas if someone in that situation went, but you'd be amazing, like why on earth? You could be talking to someone who's been subject to abuse as a child themselves. I know that's a bit extreme, but that could be the reality. It could also be the reality that someone just doesn't really want them, but that is also okay. There's my waffle. Judgment is not a bad thing. We are human. It is built into us. We all judge all the time. The power is in our response, and that is where our responsibility lies. We're not going to be perfect. If there are occasions where you can give yourself a pause to really reflect on, why am I going to say or do what I'm going to do or say? What purpose does it serve? You're not going to lose the opportunity to respond in exactly the way you were automatically going to. You might even think, actually, yeah, I think that is okay. Being able to give yourself that bit of time is going to create an environment where people feel safe. It's not feeling that they're going to get a lecture, advice that they didn't really ask for, questioned, put under pressure, like they're not good enough or that they've made a bad choice. We have an ownership for our own self-esteem and self-confidence. It's not all on the individual. Pause before you respond. Thank you very much. It's lovely to have this platform to share my thoughts. It's important we can continue conversations about these things. I would love, if you feel comfortable for you to share your experience or an observed experience. This situation has come up and made things quite awkward. We're human, it's gonna happen. We can't pretend that we don't judge. I'd love to see them. I was gonna say hear them, that's ridiculous. See them down below. A like would be lovely, as would a subscribe, but I do appreciate that I am an ad hoc uploader, so I get it. I hope that whatever you are doing, whenever you are watching this, you are taking good care of yourself, you're being kind and compassionate to yourself as best as you can. I will see you next time.